Hello, everybody. Welcome to Telli Talks, where we talk about life, growth, relationships, and all things in between. This episode is sponsored by Classic Cat and 8 Lab. I have a very special guest with me today. He is a director, host, and content creator, Cole Walliser.
Hey, ooh, look at this. Drinks right away.
Cheers. Cheers to, I'm going to let you do it.
Cheers to having a wonderful conversation and enjoying each other's company.
Amen. I love that. Cheers.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction as well.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Ooh, that is a delight.
Oh, mine is good too. Mine is called the Pussy Punchin'.
Oh, that's quite a name for a cocktail.
Knocking whatever is knocking out, but it's really good. It's really good.
Heck yeah.
So for the people that don't know your journey, can you tell us about how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's interesting because I feel like I almost have to define where I'm at today, because I think the thing that people most know me for is directing slow motion videos on the red carpet, celebrities at the Oscars, the Grammys, and so on. That's what I'm most known for, but that is somewhat a sliver of kind of what I do.
Right.
But to get there, I mean, go way back, grew up in Canada, born in Vancouver, enamored with film, and I was at a point where I was like, okay, I graduated college, I have a degree in psychology, and I was like, what do I want to do? And I really enjoyed having a camera in my hands, I really enjoyed shooting stuff, I really enjoyed making content before the late term content creator was a thing. This was like pre-social media, pretty much. I would walk around with like, I mean, I'm dating myself, but with like a DVD, like with my short films and stuff burned into it, and I would just play it for whoever wanted to watch, you know? And then it came to the point where I was like, okay, if this is a thing I really want to do as a career, I have to be in LA. I think it's different now, but at the time I was like, I want to direct, I want to make movies, I want to make films, TV shows, whatever, I need to be in LA. So I moved out to LA and I started shooting. I also have a background in dance.
Oh, nice.
And so I started working with a bunch of dancers, we'd shoot dance videos. And then I started doing a lot of like music-based stuff. So I directed videos for like Pink and Katy Perry. I did like a lot of female pop star stuff, going up to like Cher and Britney and Tinashe. So early in my career was very much that. That parlayed into beauty content. So doing all the female pop stars. I then started doing stuff for CoverGirl, Revlon, Pantene, beauty brands.
All directing.
Yeah, all directing. I mean, I obviously, like when I first came out, like I edited, like that was all I could get a job at. And then I haven't really DP'd much, but just trying to do the abridged version of this all. And then so at one point in 2016, E had this slow motion video that they had this camera technique that they wanted to shoot in the red carpet, which is slow motion. And they're like, we need someone that knows movement and choreography. We need someone that knows how to shoot beauty. And we need someone that has worked with like A-listers. And then so I sort of checked all those boxes. I came in for a meeting. And they're like, okay, Cole's great. Let's have him direct this thing called the Glam Bot. And I started shooting that in 2016. And then maybe in like 2019, I started making all the behind the scenes content. Like I realized it was really cool to shoot behind the scenes and put it together, show the process.
So all the behind the scenes is your personal content.
Yeah. I just started doing it because I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I was basically like shooting Glam Bots and then posting the finished product on my social, like as a showcase of like some of my work. And back then I wasn't even really showing myself. I remember this one time, getting a little off track here, but I met someone like a business meeting off social media. It was like back in the day, 2016, 17. And we're like meeting for coffee or something like that. And then I realized that like they had no idea. I looked at my social, I was like, they have no idea what I look like. Like I didn't post a single picture of me. It was just all work. And then I was like, oh, this should probably change, because the experience of like working with me or hanging out with me, it's like you're looking at my face the whole time.
Right.
So I started thinking about showcasing, just showing like what I looked like. But that opened the door then to doing the behind the scenes. And then when behind the scenes for the Glam Bot, like the response is really quite good.
Absolutely.
And then that kind of took my socials.
Almost how the celebrity interacts with you while you're doing this moment in time with them to capture a memory. You know, of their carpet, or not their carpet, but their outfit on the carpet, you know? So I just feel like that's, to see that, the behind the scenes of how these, you know, A-list celebrities interact and like what they like in their picture, what they want to do, how they want to, you know, choreograph their Glam Bot moment is an experience within itself.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I used to think that it was very much like, okay, this piece of content has this big celebrity, like that's why you're watching it. But the more I sort of talk to people and I try to analyze like what is appealing about this content, it is very much that like you're almost eavesdropping into like a creative conversation that you typically are not privy to.
Right.
Like you never get to hear, like even in the behind the scenes of a movie, it's like, okay, like when Quentin Tarantino is directing Brad Pitt, you see them over there talking, but you never get to actually like listen to that conversation.
Yeah. But you almost want to be like a fly on the wall in that moment.
Yeah, and I'm not comparing myself to Quentin Tarantino, but I am saying that, you know, we're hearing, or you're eavesdropping in this creative conversation, like what should we do, what should we create, and I think that's sort of a unique experience that you're often get to listen to, and so I think that among a couple other things are sort of like why the content does well.
Absolutely. So do you feel that because you're so behind the scenes that you kind of want to get more in front of the scenes and have people know who you are as opposed to what it is that you do? Because I feel like there's a lot of, you know, jobs that people have, and their job might overshadow who they are as a person. Because I feel like Glam Bot is something that you do, but it doesn't justify who you are as a person in a whole, in a sense of like your whole entity of a person. Just a slither, like you said, of who you are and what you do.
That's an interesting perspective on looking at it, because whenever I sort of get recognized for just out in public or whatever, I'm so honored that the thing they know me for is my work. You know what I mean? Like it's really like, I just feel so fortunate that this craft that I've spent my life developing and working on and expressing is like the thing that resonated with them to come say hi to me or whatever. So to me, it's always like, I'm so happy that people know me for my work, but it hasn't really occurred to me that they should know otherwise, though it does make sense, you know? But I think, like, I do want to do more content with me on camera. Like, I've done some acting, and I hosted a TV show. So, like, these things are really a fun avenue of, like, this new part of my career that I do want to do more of. But I don't know. I think that you probably get a sense of who I am through the work.
Absolutely.
And I think that hopefully...
And your character, too.
Yeah. I like to think so. Because really, like, when I'm giving direction to talent on the carpet, like, I'm purely, like, in the zone and, like, being myself. Like, how can I best communicate what I need to tell you to make the best thing? And then it's very organic to who I am. Like, there's no script. Absolutely. There's no premeditated thing. It's just like...
You almost see the person and their character and kind of tie the two together to make their Glam Bot experience their own, but still tie in what looks good on the Glam Bot.
Of course. Yeah. So I do think that people do get a sense of who I am. But also, I am trying to showcase that more. Like, I don't want my feed to be like, even though it's very Glam Bot heavy, you know what I mean? I'm trying to intersperse different, like, lifestyle... like personality driven stuff.
And stuff that you enjoy as well too.
In the content. So there is aspects of my personality that I do want to share more. But it's always like finding the right balance in between it all, you know?
And that social media, for the people that have socials, which is pretty much everyone, it's a job, and it becomes almost like literally you clock into work, you're doing your content, and it's like what works and what things do people like seeing on your social page, and what they come for to see on your page. Like, for example, myself, if you know I post a picture with my man, or if I post a picture with my kids, or if I post a picture with fashion, there's some things that'll get more views than other things, you know, where it's like, okay, I know what gets more views, but at the same time, is that the content that I always want to post, or is that the content that I want to, you know, saturate my page with, and is that what's ultimately making me happy? Or like, it's almost like Glam Bot again is a part of who you are, but it's not everything. So I kind of want to know, like, you know, what is your tics? What makes you happy of like who you are as a person?
I mean, many things, but I do think a part of it is being creatively expressive.
Absolutely.
Like I've always been driven to create, and I've always been driven to share the things that I create, you know? So I think that there's a fundamental aspect of the content that I put out and the Glam Bots that is rewarding, like, personally.
Absolutely. The directing part of it.
Yeah, definitely. And even just the sharing part. Like, I love like making something and sharing it, be like cooking for someone, or making a good drink, or making a cool video. Like, I just like sharing some creative expression, you know? But the other things that make me happy, I mean, just golf does make me happy, especially the past couple years. But yeah, like, I mean, staying active, I do enjoy, like, I feel like a better person when I'm like in the gym, I'm working out, I'm going golfing, I'm surfing, I'm doing all these things that sort of satisfy this physical aspect of like who I am. And then obviously like good relationships and good people and having unique experiences. The normal things per se.
I love that, you know, like directing makes you happy, and just being physical and fit and, you know, just outside of what people know you for, which is the Glam Bot, you know, well, your skincare routines and your hair is literally flawless and curls are at perfection. So what do you do to maintain your curls and tutorial-wise
this is a good question.
Of how to make your hair just flawlessly curly and volumized and all that stuff? Because I lost my
Well, I don't straight iron it. I don't put heat on it. It's all natural.
Raise his hand. It's me. I'll do it.
Yeah. I don't, there isn't a particular thing. I mean, I don't wash my hair that often. It'll be like once a week, maybe twice a week. And I just try to like, you know, I think like not doing too much to it. Like, I just think that like heat, actually, I don't even know. Because it's not like I've like done heat damage to my hair.
It definitely
But
does.
I think that like amongst people that are concerned with having nice curly hair is mostly women. And I think mostly they're like, what do you do? And I'm more like, I just don't screw it up by like flat ironing it and putting all the chemicals and stuff in it.
Do you blow dry it at all?
I do, yeah. Okay. So typical, like my routine is like I'll wash it, detangle it, I'll put a leave-in in, maybe a curl cream at the end, and then I blow dry it with a diffuser, and then I'm like good for a couple days, and that's kind of like that's it. You know what I mean? I don't do much else to it. I cut it myself during the pandemic. I started cutting it myself.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I was going to like a hairdresser prior to that, but like. The vibe is like kind of just big and crazy.
Yeah.
And like I was looking, you know, so during the pandemic, because like my hair's going out, the hairdressers were closed. And so I was like, it was way too long. The reason why I know it's too long is when I surf, I'll be paddling for a wave and I'll go to push up and my hair will get cut underneath the board. I'm like, oh, like it's really quite uncomfortable and it like pulls my hair out. So I'm like, okay, my hair's too long. And I just like flipped it over and just started like trimming it. But it's like nothing's even. It's just like I could just trim the dry ends off.
And with curly hair, you can't even tell because it's just...
I'll do it a little wet so the curls are like together and then I just like chop off a little bit. I got good shears and like, that's it. I'm good to go.
What is your nationality?
So I am half Chinese and half Swiss German.
Oh, wow.
Broadly. Now I did a DNA test.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, on the Chinese side, there's like a bit of Vietnamese, there's a bit of Thai, there's a bit of Indonesian. And then on the Caucasian side, there's a bit of Balkan, which is like Greek, Romanian, and Bulgarian.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, there isn't a clear answer for like where the curls come from. But my sister also has like pretty curly hair. Less so now because she's straightened it her entire life. But we both kind of like grew up with curly hair, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, my brother has like curls like you, and I used to have curls like that in high school, and then I put a perm, you know, the other version of a perm, the straight version of the perm, to like straighten my hair, and it just got damaged and it broke off and it split ends, and now I feel like I just working on getting my curl patterns back and just, you know, wearing weaves and braiding my hair and having all these protective styles, and now it's like slowly but surely, but it's almost like
you just have to regrow your whole hair out. I mean, it was a huge pain in the butt to grow it out at first because it's like these awkward lengths the whole time, like you don't know what to do with it, and it's been like a mission to like learn how to take care of it. But over time, talking to people that like know how to do curly hair, I sort of slowly learn and implement what works to me.
Relationships, how is that going in your life with, you know, all the work that you have going on, content creating, directing, etc., etc.?
I mean, I'm busy, so it's like relationships have a place in my life, but like everything, it's like I have to pick and choose like what I'm spending time on. I was in a relationship for like 4 years that recently decided that this wasn't the best thing for both of us, so we parted ways. And that was not that long ago, like last year. And so since then, it's just sort of like really work focused. Like, you know, I'm just sort of taking a break from that, you know, romantic relationships, focus on myself, my career, that kind of thing. But like friend relationships and just people in my life is like, I really try to make a point to sustain those because I feel like if you don't put the effort forth, like they can go away.
Absolutely.
And even with some of them, it's like maybe it's not all the time, but it's like I think that if you put a little bit of work in, even if you don't talk for 6 months or even a year sometimes, if you have a good foundation with someone, it's like you can pick right back up from where you left off, and that's super key. But I definitely try to make time for it when I can, and it's a rewarding aspect of my life, though on hold with the romantic side for the time being.
And sometimes you have to have that, you know, put the romance on a back burner and focus on career.
Yeah.
And you have 3 things that you kind of generalize the things that you do, which is directing, content creating, and hosting. What do you feel like you like the best out of those 3 things?
Whoa, that's a good question. I mean, I think I think fundamentally directing, it's kind of like what I came to LA to do, and I think it satisfies many aspects of like my creative expression, because you're affecting so many different things. Like I'm affecting like camera angles, I'm affecting performance, I'm affecting the look of the scene, and so it's like it really is like I it's very broad what I can tackle. You know what I mean? So like that can be really rewarding, because you're kind of taking an idea and sort of like, yes, you're working with a team, and like, yes, you can offload things to when you don't know, which is super handy, right? But you can sort of like influence all aspects of production, and to have something come to fruition and you see the finished product is like super rewarding.
Absolutely.
Content creation is also like it's a fundamental thing. Like I was doing this before I had a way of sharing it, like I said, you know, so it's like that gets at this idea that I love to just make things and share things, which is also super fundamental. And then hosting is like this performing aspect, which I've always loved and been enamored with, because it's like my background dancing. It's like I've been on stage performing as a dancer before, choreography dancing, b-boying, breaking. And so being a host and being on camera sort of satisfies this urge for a performance aspect of my life. And so I think fundamentally directing, but the performing on camera thing is new. So it's kind of like really exciting. Like I joined the DGA in 2014, so it's been almost 10 years since I've been in the DGA as a commercial director, and not tired of it. I love it, but like this on-camera thing is like 2 years old. So like this is really fun and really exciting for me right now to do on-camera stuff. So that's sort of a thing that I'm kind of pursuing a little bit more, but I think fun. If I had to pick, it would be directing, I think.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
And then second is?
Oh, well.
Like, what would you put it in order? So directing.
Well, okay. So I would say directing would be first, and then like on-camera performing, hosting, acting would be second, and then content creation would be third. Simply because content creation is like kind of a version of directing. It's just in a different medium almost.
Absolutely.
So yeah, directing, performing, and then like content. I would
Got
say.
it. So for everyone that comes on the show, we play this game, super toxic game. It's called.
Is it toxic though? Really?
Yeah, very.
I don't think so.
No.
I think it gets at what you care about in life.
Yeah,
that's what
absolutely.
I think.
And how you answer kind of. I guess shows your character on
Exactly.
what it is that you
how you deal with toxicity is sort of who you are as a person.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you learn a lot.
Absolutely. So it's pick your poison. Rules of the game is you have to pick one or the other card. You can't remix, but you can give your explanation as to why you answered the way that you answered.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. And I play with you too, so super fun, super.
We just this end
side.
looks picked already.
Yeah, this side.
Okay.
That was the previous cards that we've already. And then 6 for you.
I'm not going to analyze it. I'm just taking these two.
Okay, let's do it.
And just it is what it is.
Okay, 2. I'm going to do the same thing since we're on that.
You're already reading them. You're already looking at them.
Well, this is.
I didn't even look at what this is yet. I got 2. I don't even know.
Okay,
maybe this is a bad idea.
I got 1 extra, but let's do it.
Okay.
You want me to go first?
Well, I don't know. You tell me. You're the host. You tell me.
I'll go first.
Okay.
All right. Would you rather only sleep with people twice your age, or give every partner you've ever had an STD but never get an STD yourself?
So the one where I'm dealing with the shitty situation, which is sleep with people twice my age. Yeah, fine. I'm sure there's very attractive older women out there that I'm sure would be a lot of fun and be adventurous in their own right. But I couldn't deal with like giving someone an STD, like,
and then never get it, and then feel
never
like that, and have to live with that.
It's not like, hey, we're in this together. Sorry, it's like, oh, you got an issue. Oh, you got it. No, I couldn't do that.
No, agreed.
Yeah,
it's
easy.
on you.
All right. Okay. So okay. Eat all of the hair from a stranger's shower drain trap.
Disgusting.
There's a lot of hair in my drain trap. I'll tell you that. Or stick a needle in your eye.
Oh, I'm doing the needle in my eye.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I just feel like the shower, I know what comes out of my hair, and I know what my
all
drain
the product residual and all the gunk in there.
Yeah, that's just nasty. And I feel like nasty. I remember one time we went out to eat, and we were having what was it? Some type of spinach. Okay. And it like, I remember Deontay was telling me that it looks like the hair that's,
Oh, okay.
The drain hair, and I just can't eat it anymore.
Couldn't do it.
Like, it just reminds me of it now. Now I have this like visual of
that sounds
like,
pretty gross. But see, there's no way I could put a needle in my eye. And my thought is like, look, you can like smush up that hair to be real tiny. You put it inside a little something, pop it in there, swallow it whole, you're good to go.
Chase it down with something else.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. I feel like I would rather
put a needle in your eye.
I would rather. I mean, like if I was able to numb my eye and like.
It didn't say nothing about that. It didn't say stick a needle in your eye after you've numbed it. It's just raw dog needle in the eye.
He's like a raw dog.
Yeah, that's what the card is.
Okay, I just.
But you're still doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good.
If I had no choice, and you know,
no, you have a choice. Like, you eat the hair. That's the choice.
he's like, I'm doing the hair. I don't care what you're talking about.
Easy. It's gross, but easy.
I know. Like if I just look at it, I'm like, ugh, and then I'm throwing up.
Don't look at it. You do the thing where you get the hair, you make it into a little ball.
Oh, I can't even imagine. Like the thought of knowing what drain hair looks like and all that like white debris and just everything in it that's
white
like
debris.
just disgusting to me.
Yeah, no,
like,
it's gross.
A needle's clean, it's sterile. You know, you have, you know, situations where you have eye surgeries and you have to numb it.
I guess it's just like in and out, right?
Yeah, it's quick. And I feel like if it's lidocaine inside, and then it won't be so bad.
Yeah, I see your point. Though I would go the other way.
Okay, it's on me?
Yeah, it's on you.
All right. Would you rather switch lives with the person that asks you for spare change, or run into your in-laws at a swingers party?
In-laws swingers party, for sure. For sure. Because, like, they're obviously freaks, too. Right? Exactly. They're not there, like, unknowingly.
They're not there judging you and what you're doing. They're there to do exactly what you're doing.
Sure, I'm embarrassed, but you're embarrassed too.
Right, exactly. And I would feel like your parents would be more embarrassed to be at a swingers party than you, because they're like obviously older than you, and it's like, why are you here? I know why I'm here, but why are you here? Like, this isn't for you. Well, it's almost like you're judging them as opposed to them.
Yeah, it's almost like the assumption like your in-laws are like older.
Right.
But then if they're younger, then I'm like, yo, dog, what are you doing? Like, you're a party?
110%.
Yeah, that
110%.
That one's easy. All right, let's get you a challenging one here. Have your child catch you cheating on your spouse, or watch your significant other have sex with someone else?
Ooh, so they're both cheating ones. Mm-hmm. I would rather have my significant other have sex with someone else, because I wouldn't want to...
you watch it.
I'd rather watch it than having my child traumatized. That's
traumatizing for life.
Yeah,
like,
and then
you can handle it, right?
Then you have your child judging you, as opposed to you being the stronger person and being able to handle it as an adult, and then the consequences there come after. So I just feel like me seeing it is more adaptable and more easier for me to handle than my child.
You're better suited to handle that being an adult, first of all.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like they're both
terrible, but I would rather me see it than my child see it. And then it's like, you know, then your child's judging, and then it's like, why would you do this? And then you have that issue, and then
they have trauma for their entire life.
Right. I would rather be able to deal with the trauma myself.
Yeah, that was easy.
All right. So I have 3. Okay, I'll put that one down. Would you rather pee through a catheter for the rest of your life, or call your parents every time you're about to have sex and ask them for permission?
I mean, it has to be the call your parents, because I think you get used to that more than you would get used to peeing through a catheter, I think.
Yeah.
And it would become normal. I'd be like, Mom, are we good? She'd be like, baby, go do your thing.
See, but that's a great way to put it. You're not like, Mom, I'm about to have sex with Jane Doe.
Well, the first one would be. The first one would be like, Mom, here's the situation. I'm here with this girl. We're going to like do it. Is that okay? Then the second time, then the third time. And then we get to the point where it's just like, your mom. Yeah. I'm out here. She's like, great. I can find an answer for anything.
Yeah. Well, it's like fun though, but as long as you.
Yeah. But you learn a little bit about someone by like what they value.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I feel like I've answered every question on this card game, so I feel like nothing is like super challenging anymore, because I feel like I've literally answered all the craziest
these are
stuff on here.
These might be insightful.
Okay, let's do it.
Use a cheese grater to remove all of the skin from your left forearm. Oof. Get a notification every time anyone in the world says anything negative about you.
Ooh, I'm doing the notification.
Yeah, because you're like, doesn't affect me?
I'm doing the notification because, one, I feel like if it's negative and it's something I can improve, it would be a challenge for me to improve it. And I would take it with, like, in a motivational kind of, like, okay, if this isn't good or they don't like how I interview or anything of that nature, I can take it and, like, use it as motivation and get better, as opposed to using it in a negative light.
Yes, but you know what comments are like on YouTube, and they're not really like
110%.
Critical.
Yeah, it could be
creative
like
criticism.
If someone were to call me like a fat bitch or a hoe, I'd be like, oh, well, maybe I'm doing like things that might not be supposed to be seen in the limelight, to where you might want to see me a little bit more conservative, or let me move accordingly, but still be happy within myself. To where they might not look at me as a hoe or a fat bitch or whatever it is.
You're giving the commenters and the negative thinkers way too much credit, I think. Well, this actually brings up a question, because, like, how do you deal with, I mean, you must have some people, like, talking shit, comments, whatever. Like, how do you deal with it? How do you approach that?
I really don't. I used to, like, kind of give into it and like, give them what they want, because
which is what, like, replying or what?
Yeah, replying or giving my 2 cents. For example, like, I commented on something that Steve Harvey said about, like, men and women and just having gender roles. And I do believe that in relationships, where other people might not view things the way I view things, and I do believe in gender roles. I do believe, like, a man is supposed to protect, profess, and provide, as a woman is supposed to nurture, but you still can do other things among those gender roles that can classify you to be a working woman, or a man that can cook, and just have gender role switches. And they were like, well, we don't see you cleaning. And I'm like, I have OCD. And then it's like, oh, well, the self-proclaimed OCD people really don't have OCD. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, where it's kind of like, do you really want to do this with me? Because it's like, one, I don't want to go there, but I also want people to know who I am outside of what is showcased on Instagram, because you're so much more than that. Like, it's literally a slither of what you want them to see, as opposed to your 24 hours of the day of living, where you're not showcasing every moment of your life to say, hey, I wake up and the first thing I do is check my phone, then I brush my teeth, then I go shower, and then, like, you're not filming every second of your life. Yeah. And when people don't know, they just automatically assume. And there's times where I'm like, okay, today I got time. Today I'm going to respond. And there's times where I'm just like, okay, they're going to say what they want because they don't know better, so they're not going to do better. And when they see you in real life, they're not going to say the things that they said on social media. Yeah. So it's kind of like you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt and move the way you feel you can live with at the end of the day. Yeah,
I mean, you definitely have to take it with a grain of salt. But I also think that, like you're talking about people that almost have like a misunderstanding of like who you are, but like that isn't all the comments either. There's people that are just straight negative or just straight mean.
110%.
Right? Do you ignore those? Do you? Because sometimes like people say like mean dumb stuff, and you're like, okay, you're just like,
how
mean
are we? How mean are we talking?
Well, the meanest people have been to you online, right?
I just feel like there's people that'll be like, oh, you should kill yourself because you did this or this, and I'm like, okay, but I'm not. So it's kind of like you could say that, but it doesn't do anything to me. But it's almost like if you are judging my character and I know that's not my character, then I'm going to defend myself and
Oh, that's interesting because you feel like you need to explain yourself to them sometimes.
Not necessarily explain myself, but just more so want them to get an understanding of who I am, not who they perceive me to be. Because it's like, oh, you might look and be like, oh yeah, she's sexy and she's this and that might lead you to think other things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's who I am as a person or who my character is as an individual. Because I genuinely believe that you could still be sexy and still be classy, or still be smart and still look good, or whatever it is that, who you are as a person, to where it's like, okay, you might say these negative things because you don't know who I am, and I haven't given you that ability to know who I am. So let me tell you about myself. Yeah.
But it also sounds like you're almost like fighting, you're commenting and almost like fighting to express the things you believe in. Like you're commenting back to communicate this idea that you can be sexy and smart or good looking and productive or whatever those things are. And it's almost like that's like a core value that I think is worth defending, because I think that you're right. Like those messages are like important to push out.
Right. And it's not just like how I look, but just like my way of thinking, my morals, my standards, my upbringing, who my parents have taught me to be, and just, everyone's different with how they think, how they were raised, and, what they go through in life. And I just feel that, like, people judge because they don't know who you are, or people judge because they want you to be this negative, evil person, and they want you to react. And then there's times where it's like, okay, some things might not need a reaction, but there's things where I'm like, okay, today I got time, and I want you to know this is who I am, or this is what I believe, or this is how I think, as opposed to just there's some things where it's just like, okay, if it's about killing, like, are we really gonna go there? That's just overly negative and overly just evil. But if it's like something to do with like gender roles, or like, maybe my views on politics, or just whatever I feel like I want to give into at that moment in time, and I really have to be in the mood to do it. Like, okay, like, I got time today. Or like if you're talking about my kids, and I'm just like, come on now, you don't. That's the innocence and purity that you don't want to touch.
But them talking about your kids, that does that elicit a response, or is that just a thing that you find more disturbing?
No, it's just like, before I feel like, when things first start, you're kind of just like wanting people to realize like who you are as a person. Because initially I used to really be the person that kind of like feeds into like proving something to be right, like I have this thing that I talk about with my man all the time about like being right and, striving for perfection. And it's like, I don't like to be wrong, knowing that I'm human. We all make mistakes. And, I don't like to argue if I feel like I'm going in the wrong direction. I want to be right and know my facts before I even bring it to the table, right? And I feel like there's times where people judge, or there's times where people say things and they just don't know. So it's just like, oh, well, I think you're this way, or I'm assuming you're this way, or I'm assuming this is how I think, or this might be the right way, but it's like, this is my right way, and this is how I was raised, and this is what I was taught, and this is, so it's almost like I'm giving them my perspective on just life in general, or what my thoughts are. Like, you gave your thoughts, now I'm going to give my thoughts, and we can go at it, or we could be like, okay, this is I'm going to say what I had to say, and period, I'm done with it, and stop entertaining it. Or I might be like, okay, today I really got time, I might give you 2 comments instead of one,
today I'm going in,
so it's just, it all depends on like what it is, or if I really strongly want to fight for this conversation, or like prove a point where I feel like, even though everyone might not agree with my train of thought, it's just, that's my train of thought, and I'm going to express it. What about you?
I mean, I definitely try not to engage, you know what I mean? Like, it just, I have, of course, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely have, like,
it's natural, we're humans.
Yeah, and so sometimes, and it is typically, when I do engage, it sounds similar, where it sounds like a misunderstanding, they're, like, mischaracterizing or, like, misunderstanding something, and so sometimes I'm like offended and want to clarify. Sometimes I'm like offended and want to fight back. But by and large, especially like as I grow on social, I pay no attention. Yeah. It's just like, I'll read it and I'm like, huh, just scroll on or whatever,
Exactly.
But every once in a while you get one where you're like, oh, that one kind of hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's like a bottom line. It's like they don't.
Especially when you know who you are inside and what kind of moves you. Like, for example, when someone said I didn't clean toilets, that to me was like, what? Yeah. I actually clean the entire house. Yeah. Like, I'm not just cleaning toilets, I'm organizing. And if you knew who I was, you would know, like, that is like my therapy, to clean and to organize and to just, make everything look aesthetically pleasing. So to me, it was like, no, let me tell you what type of person I am. Yeah. And so you could understand instead of judging me and not knowing who I am.
Yeah, and that goes to the thing you were saying where you're not sharing every moment. And it's like, why are you posting you cleaning toilets on social? Like, makes no sense. But it's like for someone to like, it does seem like that would be a thing that like, you're just like, damn it, like such a gross mischaracterization. You're like, if I shared every moment, like you would know, really, but like none of us want the version of me sharing this.
For example, I did this like mission not too long ago, and there was a porta potty, and I was just like, okay, well, this isn't what I'm used to, and I posted it. But that does not mean that I won't use the porta potty. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that like if I had a preference, I would use a regular toilet over a porta potty. Like, who wouldn't?
Of course,
you know. And it's like, I'm not about to sit here and explain to you why I'm using a porta potty, because you clearly see the situation that I'm in, or we have no choice. You know. So it's like certain things like that. Like, I won't waste my time with. But if it like is, you know, something that is tied into my morals, my standards, my upbringing, my political views, or just certain things that, you know, I feel that needs an explanation, I'll explain. And sometimes it might be something petty where I'm like, okay, I'm bored. Let me respond. You know?
It's not even like there's an argument to being like, that's not a bad thing to do. If you're looking at like, well, what's the purpose? Like, you know, engagement, communication. It's like you responding to stuff is like, there's a version of that where it's never bad. You know what I mean?
And it's publicity, and then you grow anyway.
Yeah, like, totally. You know, like a little controversy sometimes isn't the worst thing in the world. It just depends on like how you react to it. Because I think that you can get engaged in an argument online, and it could really kind of like mess with you for the rest of the day. Like, then that's a problem. But like, if you're literally like, someone says something stupid, and you kind of reply back, and you go back and forth once or twice even, and you're like, all right, cool, you leave it, and you're like, don't think twice about it. Like, that's not a bad thing.
And I feel like there's certain things that, like, if I didn't respond to the toilet thing, it would be like, okay, these people really think I don't clean up. You know what I'm saying? And I just have it made, and I have a maid, and I just don't do shit at home to make sure my home looks like a home. Like, you know, I love making sure that my home looks like a home, and it looks like Restoration Hardware, and we have nothing on the tables besides decor. You know, like, I love those moments. So I want to express that this is what I actually enjoy. I enjoy cleaning. I enjoy organizing.
And a part of it is like, this is, you're like communicating, like, this is the thing that I do actually care about.
Right.
Like, I almost see why you said this stupid ass comment, but really,
I can see why you said it.
Yeah. But it's like a thing that I really care about. So like, here's X, Y, Z. Like, why? Like, I care.
Yeah. That's my only thing, where it's just like, you know, certain things like that's super evil, I won't even like
it's like
entertain. Because it doesn't like do anything to me.
They're not going to change their mind. Nothing from that interaction is going to affect either of you.
Right.
So you're just like, oh, just keep it pushing.
Yeah, and it's just too negative to even add energy to. Yeah. Where it's like, okay, you don't clean, but it's like, okay, that's not negative. It's just like, this is what I do. So I'll address those things.
Yeah. All right. That sounds good.
Yeah. So tell everyone where they can find you, what you have going on.
We got deep there a little bit for a second. Let's get back to it. Cole Walliser on all socials. Mostly Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's the word.
And make sure you guys follow him and all things that he has going on. Tune into his Instagram to find routines that he does. Not just Glam Bot stuff, guys.
Got all things coming
about Cole, Glam Bot, and everything in between. And that is it for Telli Talks.